This mechanism is called a worm and wheel. You'll notice a few things. First of all, our worm gear, looks very similar to the gear used in our lead screw, because it essentially is. This just happens to be a different pitch, meaning that the distance in between each thread is slightly different than the green ones we used on our lead screw. Now, attached to it, I have what's called a crown gear. Now, a crown gear happens to match this perfectly, which is why I'm using it. But you could, in fact, use any gear that actually matches your tooth pattern. So, for example, this large gear will also mesh with my worm. So I could use this gear instead in a vertical fashion. The crown gear is simply designed to sit on its side and has teeth out from the side. So what does a worm and wheel do? Well, a worm and wheel, as I spin this, you'll notice that it causes my crown gear to start to rotate. And I can, in fact, reverse it. But this is turning our motion from a rotational motion on this axis into a rotational motion on this axis. So it allows us to turn a 90-degree corner with our mechanism's power. Now, something else to notice, just like the crank and slider, this worm and wheel is not reversible. If I apply the drive to my gear, my crown gear in this case, it doesn't cause the worm to start spinning. So this is non-reversible, which is really good if you want to make sure power can only go in one direction. So you can use this in a lot of different applications where you require the ability to add power in one direction, but you don't want it to go back the other way. Imagine for a moment that you had a tire of a vehicle attached to the end of this axle that comes out of here. You would allow the motor to drive the wheel forwards or backwards, but if you let go of it and just set the wheel down, it won't spin at all. So for example, if the vehicle with the tire was on a slope, this would prevent it from actually rolling because it would lock down into the motor. So again, this is a worm and wheel that allows you to do two main things. The first is it's a non-reversible mechanism, so you can't change how the power goes. And the second is it allows you to change the direction of your force by 90 degrees from one axis to another.